Welcome out. Welcome out, everybody. Thanks for showing up tonight. We've got a few things to go over. Who's planning on being on the ride on Saturday?
No, we're not.
Guaranteed.
We're not going?
Bring some warm clothes
It'll be cold.
because we're probably going to,
Okay, Melissa's in here.
99% sure we'll be in some snow. So,
See?
but we will be staging out at Midway over by the Soldier Hollow Golf Course. There's a trailhead up Cascade Springs Road right there. That's where we'll meet. A lot better parking, less congestion there than there is on this side of the mountain. So, my intention is to, go up over the top, drop down, and then go up Forest Lake. I couldn't decide whether I was going to go to Forest Lake or up Mary Ellen Gulch, but with this snow, Forest Lake is going to be a better option than Mary Ellen Gulch. It could be quite deep up there. Get up a little switchback, it could be a problem. So that's where we'll head for. So, 10 o'clock there, ready to ride, ready to go. Also, tonight's the last night for nominations for board, for presidency. We do have a list posted of who's already been nominated, but do we have any nominations to be made tonight? Alrighty then. I guess that's where we're at. If you think of somebody that you want to nominate before the night's over, please let us know, because at the end of the meeting, all nominations are closed. I want to thank everybody that showed up down to Escalante. That was a fantastic ride and great turnout. I hope you all enjoyed it. With that being said, I haven't gone over this list for a couple of years. We generally do go over this list every couple of years when we get so many new members and stuff. And on the Saturday ride, where we had a lot of rain, we had a lot of people that weren't exactly prepared. So this is a list that was made up about probably 6 or 7 years ago that I made. This is a list of things that everybody, some of the items on this list, if you're riding in a group, not everybody needs to have, but at least one person in the group should have it. But most of these things everybody should pack on their ATV or in their side-by-side. And this, by all means, is not the comprehensive end-all list of things that you should be carrying, because we can all think of something, that maybe we would like to have on our machine. But I just want to go over this tonight. First, right at the top, is a first aid kit. Should have some sort of first aid kit to be able to take care of small scrapes, cuts. If you want to invest in the really nice, triage type first aid kits, that's great. You should have something, take care of bee stings, things like that, burns, emergency blanket. You can get, the cheap oil ones that pack up, and they're no bigger. They pack up no bigger than really the credit card. You can keep that on your machine. These machines, they're mechanical instruments. They can and will break down on you. And having that emergency blanket, if you have to spend the night on the mountain, you will be thankful that you have it. Like I say, you can get those. You can get some that turn into a tent, a shelter. Some of them that are almost like a mummy bag that enclose you. Whatever you want. But like I said, even at least one of those little ones, it may mean the difference between life and death, getting out alive or not. So that's something every person should have at least one. I would, because they're so small and they are very inexpensive, I would recommend pack several. Two sources of fire. Being able to start a fire if you're out on the mountain. Matches, a lighter, a striker, something. Matches get wet. They don't like, even a good cigarette lighter, if it gets totally immersed in water, may or may not light for you. So a striker of some sort works very well. And right below that is I put fine steel wool. Steel wool will light when it's wet. So, if you're out on a night like this and it's pouring rain, you're not going to find dry tinder to start a fire with. But that steel wool will light when you can submerge it in water, put it out, and strike a couple sparks in it, and it'll light up. So, and again, it's something that doesn't take up a lot of room in a bag. You can put it in a baggie and throw it in the bag. It's there, and it's there to help you. Tow rope, yeah. Well, we've also, if you're out in a group and one machine breaks down, we.
Not quite right, Bob.
Yeah, it's not fun being on the towing end of the back end of that rope because you're going to need a lot of dust. But we can get you back to your vehicle. Like I said, mechanical machine, it can and will break down on you. I don't care how much maintenance you do, it can happen. The less maintenance you do, the more likely it's going to happen. So. And again, a small saw or a hatchet, one to be able to get firewood if you have to spend the night on the mountain. If you come on a trail and you got a down tree that you need to get out of the way, you may not be able to go back the way you came in. If you run into a tree, or you may have to, cut a tree to get it off the trail. So. Those are things that I always recommend that you carry. That, again, that's something that I recommend every person carry in their machine. Pretty much everything that I've mentioned so far, everybody should have. Because if you're in a group of 2 or 3 of you and one of you has matches and you get separated, the other 2 are, they're without. So those are things that everybody should be carrying. Shovel, small shovel of some kind. You get collapsible ones. I got a small one that mounts right to the roll bar on my ATV or on my side by side. Or you strap it on my ATV.
Right behind you. Right behind you.
Your other one.
Yeah, these are really good in the wintertime. This says Clem on it, so it's probably a little bit more expensive. You can, these are great in wintertime for snow. I carry, I switch it out summer to winter. I carry one like this in the wintertime for the snow, and I carry more of a round mouth shovel that's made for digging dirt in the summertime. So, you get stuck, you have to dig yourself out, whatever. You have to dig over the tree. So, flashlight and extra batteries. Again, if you're out at night, and you break down on a machine and you're trying to see what you're doing there, you need a flashlight, or even if you have to walk out. And I prefer, if you can find the one that's got a laser on it too, because if you're out search and rescue's looking for you, that laser is a lot easier to see at a distance than the flashlight beam is. You'd be surprised how much further that laser beam will go and how much more detectable it is. for somebody looking. So if you can find one with the laser beam, great, but a good flashlight, extra batteries, you can get the ones that are rechargeable. This one here, it's extremely bright, and they're inexpensive. They're very inexpensive. I think about $20, $30. It recharges it just off the USB port. So. A whistle or an air horn. Again, if you're out, and you're waiting for rescuers to come find you, you don't want to be screaming all the time, because after an hour or two of that, your voice is done. That whistle is a lot louder. The air horn, they're going to hear that much better than they're going to hear you screaming. And like I said, especially if you've been doing it for a couple hours or a day, trying to holler for help, your voice, you'll be surprised how fast you lose your voice there. So, 12-volt compressor. I got flat tires. None of us have ever had a flat tire on the trail all the way. So they're pretty inexpensive. You can get some really fancy ones that are more money, but you can get a small 12-volt compressor. And again, it's one I recommend that everybody should carry on their machine, because if you get separated from the guy with the compressor, it doesn't. You might have the tire plugs, but if he's got the compressor, you're out of luck. So, starting fluid, the ratcheting tie down. The starting fluid is not to start your machine with. If you ever blow a bead off from the rim, pull the tire right off from the rim, these 12-volt compressors, they don't have enough pressure to reseat that bead. The first thing to try is the ratcheting tie down. Wrap it around the tire, hook the two ends together, and cinch the ratchet down. And it usually will expand that sidewall out to meet the rim, and then you can get it to take air and it'll seat. But that doesn't always work. At this point, I really recommend you have a lug wrench with you and remove the tire from the machine, because it could go bad real fast. I've seen videos of it going bad real fast. You take that starting fluid and you just really quick around the rim, you just that fast. You don't want to sit there and hose this stuff in there. And then, before you ever do that, get your compressor hooked to the valve stem on the tire. Get it ready to go. After you put that starting fluid in there and you touch that match, it'll blow up. It'll boom. It'll blow those sidewalls out to the rim. As soon as it does that, you want to turn the compressor on. That way, then now you've got your tire should take air at that point. Again, don't hose the crap out of it. Don't use gasoline. Yeah, I've seen the videos of the guys use gasoline. They not only need a new tire, they need a new machine afterwards, because that tire starts on fire and burns the machine to the ground. Not cool. I've seen guys use WD-40. Again, the WD-40 is more liquid and tends to get on the tire. The starting fluid is ether and the gas. It evaporates really quick, and when it blows, it blows really fast. It doesn't burn. It's a flash burn real quick and it's done. So, map and a compass. For everybody that was down in Escalante, what happened to me my first day, my GPS locked up, wasn't working. So everything I did all day was off my map, and I took a wrong turn here and there, and I got a little confused on a couple trails, but it got us where we were going back. Again, a GPS it's an electronic instrument. For whatever reason, that one just would lock up on me and wasn't working. I've seen them where they'll lose the satellite just because it's a really cloudy day, or you're deep in a canyon or deep in the trees. So if for whatever reason that GPS quits working, now you're going to have to rely upon the map and the compass. Get one of the area, learn how to use the compass to coordinate the map to north and south. And it may, again, it may mean the difference between getting out alive and not. Bottom line. GPS and a charger, my GPS is set up on a power cradle, so it constantly has power to it. But if you're running one without, and you're running all day, they'll go through a battery pretty quick. So if you have a charging, battery pack to charge them with, especially if you end up spending the night on the mountain for whatever reason, have to walk out, wait until daylight and walk out, you're going to need that GPS to get you where you're going. So you want to be able to recharge that thing. Even mine, where it's a power cradle, if I had to walk out, I'm popping it off of there. And so I want a backup source of power for it if it goes dead before I get back to where I'm going. And if anybody has any questions, don't be afraid to blurt it out. We do this to help everybody. And again, cell phone and a charger. That cell phone, we may have cell coverage, may not. But if you got cell coverage, it's there. You want that charger, so if you're having to call for help, you want to be able to make sure your phone still has enough battery to get help to you. And again, one of the things I never recommend people doing is ride alone. And by alone, I mean one machine. Two people in one machine is not riding, together. It's riding alone. So, two machines. But if you're going to do it, or even with us riding as a group, a lot of times when we're out on these trail rides, we're out of cell coverage. We're not going to be within cell range. If you have a medical emergency, you're going to need, the Spot or the Garmin InReach. There's several other types out there now that connect to your cell phone, that connect with the satellite, so you can text and call for help. But it's, if somebody's seriously hurt and we're out in the middle of nowhere where we don't have cell coverage, that Spot will alert. It has an SOS feature that you hit, and it automatically will get the ball rolling and get help coming to you. Whereas if we're out there and there's a medical situation and I have to send somebody on a 40-mile ride to get to where they can get cell coverage, that's not a good thing. So, as alone or in a group, I always recommend at least one person have something to that effect. Where a lot of us have the radios now, some of the radios we can be able to reach help with because they are basically a ham radio. Some of the bigger ones than that can reach out, but still, it's a good thing to carry. And again, they have a service fee. Some of them are relatively inexpensive. It's tiered on what you want. Some of them you can send messages out to people, have a text feature. Some of them just have a preset message so you can send it out. Hey, just check it in, I'm okay. And it'll show that person where you're at. It'll give them the GPS coordinates, show them where you're at on your trip. So they're like, okay, you're good. I know you're going from here to here, so the next time you check in, it should be, if you don't check in, I know to look somewhere from this point on your route to find. Water, always carry plenty of water. They recommend basically a gallon per person. So, carry plenty of water with you. especially midsummer when it's really hot, you'll dehydrate very quick. And you'll be surprised how fast you'll hydrate in the middle of winter, dehydrate in the middle of winter. People think dehydration is a summer thing. No, it's all year. And it happens just as fast in the middle of winter as it does in the summertime. In the wintertime, a lot of times what people think is, oh, I can eat snow to get water. That sends them into hypothermia because they're cooling their body core so much. And now they're into hypothermia. So, yeah, carry plenty of water. And down at the bottom, we'll see it later, but there's water purifying tablets. Power bars, protein bars and things like that. They're small. You can pack them in your, several of them in a bag in your machine. If you're spending the night on the mountain, it's going to give you something to eat. If you end up having to walk out, you're going to need that energy to get you there. So the power bars, candy bars, candy, quick, things that are going to get you some quick energy. I prefer the power bars because they have protein, not just sugar. And your body really needs that protein. And your basic toolkit. Some of us look like the Snap-on truck going down the road. That's okay, No, it's good. It's good to have. I'm just teasing because I can. But yeah, have a basic toolkit. Go over your machine, find out the different sizes of nuts and bolts. 10s, 12s are very common. 15s, 18s usually are some of the most common sizes that you're going to find for bolts. One thing that is not on here, almost everybody, unless you're driving a Honda or a YXZ, we all have CVT belts. Carry an extra one with you so you can change it, if you bust one out on the trail. Most of them are fairly simple to change out on the trail. Some of them are like rebuilding the whole machine. But for the majority of them, they're pretty easy, pretty simple to do out on the trail. And it's a lot better to, when you're 40, 50 miles out, change that CVT belt that will be drugged that 40 or 50 miles on the end of the tow rope. So, if your machine takes one, I recommend you carry a spare. Extra gloves. I've always got 3 or 4, 5 pairs of gloves in my machine, and they range from lightweight summertime gloves to big, heavy winter gloves. I usually have at least 2 pair of those. If you're out, you're stranded, you're wet, it's raining, it's snowing, your hands get cold, there's nothing worse. Then you start to not function real well at that point.
What about extra clothes if you submerge your machine? Just a question, asking for a friend.
What makes you think somebody would submerge their machine?
Oh, I don't know.
No, that's a good point.
Following them.
It's a good point. Like I said,
It was a lead.
this list was made by she's teasing me because I submerged mine waist deep down in Blanding in November when it was 31 degrees outside.
I just want to make sure you're taken care of.
Yeah. So, yeah, if you don't have extra clothes, rain gear doubles. But yeah, we did, fortunately in the group, there was enough extra clothes to re-clothe my wife completely, shoes, socks, everything. And for me, somebody had a pair of insulated coveralls, and I was able to strip off my wet pants and wear those the rest of the day. So, yeah, we tease, and I laugh about it, but thankfully there was enough people there and enough stuff that we were able to You know, again, if we're out there and we're 40 miles out and that happens, it ain't no laughing matter. It's not. You know, if that temperature, soaking wet, hypothermia will set in about 20 to 30 minutes. So some sort of extra clothing to, you know, dry sock. And like I said, there's a lot of stuff that is not on this list that you can put on this list. We'll kind of go over and throw some ideas out. But yeah, the extra gloves I carry, like I said, I carry 4 or 5 pair. They're small, they don't take up a lot of room. And then the difference between comfortable and not comfortable. Rain gear. Invest, I mean, come on, we spend $20,000, $30,000 for a machine, and we're wearing plastic grocery bag, garbage sacks for rain gear. Not good. I mean, it's better than nothing. You can get some good, really good rain gear. Frog Togs, are very lightweight. They don't take up a lot of room. They start out at about $70. You can get a really nice set of Gore-Tex stuff for about $300. It's lightweight, it's small, it compresses down, it doesn't take up a lot of room in your bag. The rain on Saturday down there in Escalante, there was a lot of people that were pretty miserable when we got back to Escalante.
It was like raining mud.
Yeah, some people have mud problems and not rain problems.
There was a monster running
You didn't
around.
giggle.
The mud monster's truck.
So, it does. Most of you have heard this story.
He's crying.
Most of you have heard this story, but a few years ago, I rode from Kanab to Escalante. First time I ever went into Escalante was a 140-mile ride. 120 of it was in driving rain and snow. I had very good rain gear, several sets of gloves that I changed out throughout the ride. But that last 20 miles was pretty miserable. I mean, my body was dry, my gloves were soaked through, my hands were cold. It was pretty miserable. Everybody there was in early stages of hypothermia when we hit the hotel there. So, it's, people think I'm hard, but really, truly, this is stuff that you should be carrying with you because we can be out on a ride. It can be a bluebird sunny day, and especially up in high country. You get downpours up there every day, even when there's no rain supposed to happen. So carry that rain gear, and if you want to start small, invest in something small. But I usually have like 4 or 5 sets with me, almost always. I actually thought I had left mine. Well, I did leave one set in my ATV bag that I put in there for the Ride for Life. I forgot to switch it back to my hard man. And Bill, he wasn't going to ride, so he lent me his. While I was pawing through my bag, lo and behold, there's a brand new set of Frog Togs. Opened them up, put them on, we're golden. So, if you invest in one really good set, and if you want to invest in like some ponchos and stuff like that to throw in there that are, you can throw over the top of you, that's great. But just invest in really good rain gear that's got a pant and a top. It can mean the difference between an enjoyable ride and just miserable. Extra spark plugs for your machine. High altitude, it doesn't happen so much now with most of these machines being fuel injected but if you're running an older carbureted machine and you're getting up high altitude, it's really easy to foul a plug from too much fuel, not enough air. So, just carry it, again, they're small, they don't take up much room, but it might be the difference between being towed back and being able to drive back. Extra fuel. Almost every ride we have planned, I get somebody ask me, how many miles is this? Well, I need extra fuel. And inevitably, most every ride that we do, you can do it on 1 tank of fuel. But what happens, we're out on a ride, say we're doing an 80-mile loop. And there's only kind of one main way to get back to your stage. You can either make the full loop or back. If you're all the way around and you run into an obstacle, maybe they've had a flash flood, there's a washout you're not going to get through. Now you're 75 miles into it, and you've got to go 75 miles back, and you didn't bring extra fuel. Now you're probably going to run out. So even though you can make that ride on 1 tank of fuel, carrying that extra fuel with you is always a good idea. There's, I carry a 3-gallon can with me on all my machines. On an ATV, a flat 4 will fit on that front rack. You put a bag over the top of it. You're good. And you've doubled your mileage. My Grizzly, on average, I can do, depending on how much I'm in and out of 4-wheel drive, I can do 90 miles on a tank. Well, if I got 3 gallons of extra fuel, now I'm pushing 180. I've almost doubled my capacity. So I always recommend to carry extra fuel. Even if you know you can comfortably make it, there's just always those times, I've seen it happen, where you've had to turn back or take an alternate route, and then now you've added miles onto it. Now you're white knuckling it whether you're going to make it back or not on fuel. And more, like I said, I carry extra fuel with me all the time. More often than not, I'm putting it in somebody else's machine other than mine. But I have it there for that purpose. I want to make sure everybody gets there and back. Water filter or purifying tablets. If you're out on that mountain for a couple days, unless you're driving a water truck, you're probably going to run out of water at some point. So if you're lost out there, you're out on the mountain for several days, you're waiting for search and rescue or somebody to come help find you, you're going to need a way to get extra water. Just like I said, there's just no way any of us can carry enough water to last that long. Or at least on an ATV, you might be able to do it on a side-by-side, but an ATV, it's just not going to happen. So you need, a way to get extra water to purify it. They make those live straws that are relatively inexpensive. The disposable ones, like $19, you can get them at recreation outlet. Enables you to get water from a stream or pond or lake, whatever. So always have something there to be able to get extra water and get it purified, because you don't want to be drinking, especially in this day and age, you don't know what's in that water anymore. So sunscreen and bug spray. It's where we're up, especially in the summertime, we're up high altitudes. You'll burn really fast up there, really fast. People are just amazed how fast you'll burn. So, always carry that bug spray. We get into mosquitoes, deer flies, things like that. You don't want to be get bit by them all the time. So it's a good thing to carry that kind of stuff with you all the time. So now that we've been over the list, who wants to add extra? Who can think of extra stuff to add? I can think of one thing right off that's not on there.
Gas? Oh, we already did that
Who's
one.
on
Never
there?
mind.
You're not really she's kind of slow. Don't worry about her.
I just,
Well, it's
Gas.
kind of rubbing off.
right.
Chapstick. Should always have some chapstick in there. Your lips get chapped out there real fast. Right from the dry wind, dirt, the dust. So, that's something that really should be on the list.
A good fire starter as well.
Huh?
It's a good fire starter as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so the fire starter, I use the steel wool, but there's other fire starters. There's different types of tablets and things like that.
No,
I
he's saying
put
that you
this-
can. He's saying you can use chapstick as a fire starter.
Oh, yeah, actually, yes, you can.
Yes.
Bill. Rope.
Lots of roads.
Yeah.
You might have to catch
Lots and lots of rope. You might have to rescue something off the edge of the cliff.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, Muslim wall.
I use cheap as the radios are. You can always put it on the emergency channel.
Oh, yeah. You know, yeah, this list was made before we started running radios. But yeah, pretty much any of these radios that we're using, the Bofang, the rugged radios, even the 5 watts, you can get a list of repeaters out there, and so even though you don't have that great a capacity for range, you can reach a repeater and get help coming to you. So the radios are, like I said, the Bofangs, are running about $30 for one of those. The rugged radios are about anywhere, and they're running a special on them right now, by the way, for the 5 watt handheld. Bill and I and Danny, we run the bigger mobile radios than ours that are more powerful. We can reach a long ways with those. But even, like I said, even the little 5 watt, if you find a list of repeaters, you can get, you can get the frequencies and be able to. That's the one thing I am going to say about the Bofang versus the rugged. I love my rugged handhelds, but they are only a programmable radio. They don't have a way to punch in a frequency. So even if you want to run the 5 watt rugged handheld, it never hurts to have that Bofang there as a backup in case you have to punch in a different frequency than what we have programmed into the Bill's Hummel. Do you know if we have any emergency channels programmed in?
We did that because a lot of the people aren't licensed,
Yeah.
so we can't be on them.
Actually, in an emergency situation, you do not have to be licensed to use that emergency channel. So we should maybe look at getting 1 or 2 of those programmed in. Just a thought. Anybody else?
Beanie hats in the winter when it's cold.
Yeah, stocking cap, wintertime, keep your head warm. You lose more heat through your head than you would believe. You want to keep your feet warm? Put a beanie hat on. I ain't kidding you.
One alternative to a compression might be a fixer flat.
The Fix-A-Flats, yeah, they'll work. The little CO2 cartridges, they actually make them in different sizes. Just the little one in an average ATV tire like that one there, it'll put 6 pounds. It'll put 6 pounds PSI into that tire. So they work really well. I have them on my ATV. You can get the ones that are a little bit bigger. So if you're running a bigger tire like that, they work great for those. You can also get, you can buy, there's different ones where you can put compressed air into these small canisters that'll pump up 4 of those tires. And they do have enough pressure to see the beat. So that's an option. They take up a little bit more room, but if you're on a side-by-side, usually you can find like a fire extinguisher mount or something to mount it to the roll bar so it's not taking up room inside your bag. They work very well. You can go down to places that service scuba tanks. They'll refill them.
Did you have any, clean your water and stuff?
They work very well.
Pocket knife and a small hatchet.
Small hatchet is on there, but
Is
a
it?
pocket knife, yeah. Small hatchet is like the fifth one down.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. See, I told you, Kyle's rubbing off on you. Yeah. And I carry just a small, jumper pack with me. It doubles as it'll has all sorts of different USB plug-ins, different, 12-volt plug-ins to be able to charge phones, GPS, your camera, whatever you want to charge. But it'll also jump start your machine. These things don't come with a pull starter. So if you have a dead battery, you better either have somebody there with jumper cables, which, is another thing that should be on the list. You don't have to go out and buy the full-size jumper cables that, you use for your car or truck. They make smaller ATV-size jumper cables that will work just fine on these. But yeah, some way to jump start one of these machines if you have a dead battery. It's better to jump start it than tow it 40 miles.
It's a jumper pack.
Alice?
Eye protection, I can't even cover. Sometimes goggles.
Yeah, eye protection, especially if you're the one being towed back there. Because poor Bob and Alice, they got towed about 20 miles on a very dusty trail. And yeah, it wasn't fun. Another thing is dust mask. Some sort of, gaiter or something to keep the dust out of your face, out of your nose. Is if you're being towed, it's not fun. We tease because, everything worked out good, but the reality is it's not a fun thing when you're the one being towed. To be back there eating all that dust, it's pretty miserable. So.
I have a plug for the club gator. I wear one all the time with somebody's, and that's the best one. I happen to have it on when we check out murders.
Good. Good. So yeah, you can buy several of them. I usually have 4 or 5 of them with me. Something that is not on here and very well should be. I don't know how I did not put it on. But it doesn't have to do any good to have an air compressor if you don't have tire plugs. Have tire plugs with you because it's very easy to plug a tire on the trail, and we will be doing some videos and some training so people know how to properly plug a tire. If you have a tire plug kit and you've used it, check to make sure the rubber cement in there is still usable, because face it, once you open that, these little tubes, within 6 months it's probably going to dry out. So keep an extra full one with you that's not been opened, because we had somebody down there in Escalante plug a tire, but they didn't have any rubber cement, and it just leaked, the air just leaked around the tire. So they had to turn around. It was on Saturday's ride. They had to turn around and go back because it wasn't going to hold air. So, sidewall punctures, there are a couple of different things out there. There's one called sidewall slug that actually inserts a kind of a plastic cup inside the tire with a bolt coming through, and then another cup that comes on the outside, and it has a nut that cinches down, and then you break off the bolt, break off flush. Because if you get a big gash in your sidewall, you're not fixing it. Bill's Day ended up early down in Moab for that very reason. Put a hole in the sidewall. There's another one. Yeah, they call it glue tread. We'll glue on the sidewall. Because the sidwall's the worst puncture to get. Because usually it's not just a straight in hole, it's usually a big rip. Because you ride along, you're not paying attention, there's rocks, sharp rocks sticking out, you just graze the side of it. Now it just sliced a big gash in it. So they're usually not just a, most of the time when you get a puncture on the tread part of the tire, it's just a straight in, straight out puncture. On a sidewall, it tends to be a rip. So I have seen a tire with upwards of 15 plus plugs in the sidewall and didn't get them back. But yeah, if you get a puncture in the sidewall, more often than not, a tire plug isn't going to fix it. So, look at the sidewall slug or look at the glue tread for a sidewall puncture. Again, they're small, they're relatively inexpensive to keep with you. Be the difference in being able to continue riding or not. Some people prefer to carry a spare tire with them. That's if you've got the ability to.
Small bottle jack.
Yeah, some sort of small bottle jack or some way to jack your machine up. Worst come to worst, you can stack rocks under it, dig a hole under the tire. But yeah, some way to get your machine off the ground. Because especially if you've blown that tire off in the bead, you've got to get the weight of that machine off in that tire. You're never going to get it back on. This is not going to happen. So there's different jacks out there. Tusk makes a scissor jack and a mount that you can mount on your roll bar. It works very well. Being relatively inexpensive. You can go out to pretty much any wrecking yard and find an old scissor jack out there in the car for $5. So yes, a fire extinguisher is something that everybody should have on their machine. I'm not going to take a shot at anybody here or any brands, but these things catch fire, or you start a fire, you're going to need, you need some way to put it out. So yeah, carry a good fire extinguisher. For the people in side-by-sides, there are automated fire suppression systems out there. Some are better than others, so do your research on them. But if you go on Rocky Mountain's website, you can see them there. They're generally start out at about $500, but they're probably worth their weight in gold if your machine happens to start on fire and you're trying to get out real fast. So. Anything else? All right, I see somebody new here tonight I've not seen before, so I'm going to pick on you.
My name is Greg Ellingson. I met some of the members in Moab in the spring. And thought I was just going to check it out and check you guys out.
Awesome. What kind of machine you got?
I have a Honda Talon.
Okay. Cool. Well, welcome. We've got, I feel, a really, really good group of people, a wealth of knowledge within the club. I don't know how much experience you've got, how many years you've been riding, but there's plenty of people here. If you have questions, don't ever hesitate to ask. I tell people there's no such thing as a stupid question. There's a lot of stupid mistakes, so don't be afraid to ask. That's what we're here for, is to help. Okay. Britt and Karen, can we have you come up here? They are both candidates for treasurer, which is an officer position, so I'm going to give them a chance to say hi to everybody. So I think most of you know who they are, but
been the treasurer for the last 3.5 years, and it's quite the responsibility since the club is a nonprofit and the Art for Life is a charity. So there's a lot of detail work involved with it, and I love doing it, and I've worked with everyone on the board, and I sure like to keep doing it because it's just fun. And I love going riding. Steve and I have been members of the club for 6 or 7 years, so I'm excited for another year coming up here and to work with everybody. Thanks.
Oh, yes, we do, yes. My name is Britt Zumwalt. I belong to Bill. I've been part of the ATV group for a few years, but we're not new to ATV. We've done it for many years. Now side by side for the last year or so. I don't know that he likes it, but I like it. It gives us our time together. I was born and raised here in Utah, so I camped, I hunted, I fished. I've really enjoyed the outdoors and have a great love and respect for the outdoors. That's one thing I like about this club as well. I'm not afraid of service by any means. When I was 18, I joined the Fraternal Order of the Eagles Auxiliary. Served all of the, what do they call them? I think of stations, but all of the positions. And I'm a proud past president of that organization. But I also, during that time, was able to join Duck Hunting, which helps conserve the wetlands for waterfowl and wildlife. And I was their treasurer for 15 years, so they're a nonprofit. What I bring to this, I guess I should back up and say, I'm super excited to have been nominated. It's kind of a surprise, but I don't turn down challenges, so thank you to whoever that was. But what I bring, I would say, is integrity, innovation, creativity. I'm an HR director for a company in Salt Lake called PackSize. Been in HR for over 30 years. Been in HRD for a really long time. Probably over half of that as an HR leader. So I know, people are my passion. I do enjoy that. Just really appreciate your vote. I look forward to serving if I'm elected. Thank you.
I just wanted to let you know I have 20 years of baking experience also that has helped me in this position. So, yeah. So, thank you.
Good job, ladies.
All right. So, yeah, let's do the
Hey, Steve, can I throw out another nomination for the board?
okay.
Craig Dixon.
I'll second Craig Dixon, nominated for the board. All right, the winning ticket number is 821984.
Hey, that's me.
You got tools in your machine. Fix it.
How do you use those, Kyle?
Now fix the machine, Kyle. Fix it. Fix it.
We have another nomination that came through through Messenger. Megan has nominated Gene Hansen for board. Do we have a second?
Gene Markham.
Gene Markham. Okay, we have a second. Kyle has seconded. So Gene Markham. And, yeah, Kyle and Randy. So, all right. Just thank you everybody for coming out on a crappy night. But we'll see most of you on Saturday. like I said, be prepared. We'll probably be up into some snow, so make sure you wear some good warm clothes, and we'll see everybody then. Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Mine's still wet.